Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's Two Saints podcast show with myself, Mark C, and my co-host, Mark H. How you doing there, Mark?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Brilliant start to the new year.
Not bad, was it?
Buoyed by the result on Monday night, obviously. And I'll do this before we kick off, but as they used to say in episodes of Rob C. Nesbitt in Scotland, get it right up, you Jimmy.
Absolutely right. Yeah, and just to celebrate that as well, we've got you a little snippet of Fiesta, this is called. So enjoy this for 2 seconds and we'll be straight back. Right, there you go. Brilliant dulcet Fiesta. Love that. It's brilliant. And as Mark said, have it right up your Jamie Carragher. So, coming up for you in the first half of today's busy pod, the Two Saints review of Saints 1, Liverpool 0. Yes, you heard that correctly. Saints 1, Liverpool 0, and Saints FC news. So, Saints kick off the new year in style, Mark. Ralph Hasenhüttl bursting with pride. Fraser Forster, it's great to be back. And Ralph Hasenhüttl explaining his emotional reaction at the end of the Liverpool win. Absolutely brilliant. What a way to start the new year, beating the reigning champions.
Yeah.
And for the seventh time for Saints, beating the reigning champions, no less.
That to me isn't really. Yeah, okay, I get it, but it's small. But it goes back to being a small club again,
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
sort of thing. You want to be doing that, But anyway, what I was going to say, Mark, was the thing is, everything fell into place. If you look at Monday night's game, we scored early, which basically meant that Liverpool had to come out and play. And
the problem was going into the game, we didn't know what to think, did we? Because the Saints squad was quite weakened. The team was quite weakened, obviously.
Yeah, well, but the thing is like, I kind of get that, because obviously Oriol Romeu was missing.
Yep.
You had Shea Adams was missing, and Vestergaard's missing,
and Alex McCarthy, 4 key players, really.
But I think to be honest, Mark, I don't want to ham it up too much in the sense of like, I turn around to think to myself, well, Liverpool weren't in great form going into it, and we weren't.
No, we weren't.
But the difference was. We got our noses in front, which was vital. Probably the best finish for me from Danny Ings.
Oh.
He's had several, but I would say for me that was probably his best finish.
That for me demonstrated why he was in the England team. That was a world-class finish.
Yeah. Again, that's all to do with awareness on the pitch and then, awareness where others are in terms of your, the opposition goalkeeper and stuff like that. But, the other thing I was going to say was, but that goal then helped to facilitate the fact that Liverpool then had to come out and play. They had a makeshift centre half, and the thing is they've had a makeshift centre half partnership since the start of December. It's just that teams don't seem to have been able to sort of exploit them or whatever. And I do think that, us scoring at the time when we did so early on, it was key to the victory itself, because everybody, the man, applied themselves. Even Theo Walcott, who didn't get one of the highest ratings from me personally, but everybody applied themselves in the jobs that they had to do.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say everybody to a man left it on the pitch, didn't they? They left nothing in the changing room.
Oh yeah, no, 100%, man. I just think to myself that as well, the other thing that kind of helped was with Liverpool having to come out and play. It meant that it also left gaps on the odd occasion when we were able to go forward. I mean, we had the Nathan Tella chance, and we also had the Jan Valery chance.
Yep.
You know?
Well, the only thing that stopped Jan Valery scoring was the thickness of Alisson's calf muscle, I think you'd probably say, wouldn't it? How lucky can he get?
It clearly hits the inside of his calf, doesn't it? So, you know, so it looked before that like it was going in for all money, and it probably would have went soaring in. But, you know, in relation to everything else as well, just talking about the game as a whole, I mean, the only other criticism, or the only criticism we would really have, would be sort of, you know, it was great to have Fraser back, and it's going to take, you know, time. And I hope that he gets a couple of games under his belt with Alex now, obviously.
All I want to say is, Fraser, please try and catch the ball.
Yes. I mean,
I'm not knocking him at all, but please try and catch it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Mark, there was times when the ball was going straight to his hands and he punched it, and you're sort of sat there and you're going, you know, make the catch. You not make the save, but make the catch. You know, make the catch.
Do you think that was more a keeper that was a little bit rusty, basically giving himself a little bit of security by punching it rather than catching it in case he dropped it? Do you think that's what it was, maybe, where he was a little bit rusty, he wasn't taking the chance of catching it?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case, man. I think, you know, there's a lot of times when, you know, okay, they weren't going to score anything, but he was scrambling about doing a lot of star jumps and things like that, if you noticed, you know.
But in fairness, although it was offside, he did actually save one from Salah by doing that, didn't he?
Yes.
Spread himself and made Salah break free.
He did. You know, I'm fair dues to him. You know, the thing is Rome wasn't built in a day. He's back. I'm glad to have him back.
Yeah, you give me both.
I still think in the goal he's actually a bigger presence than Alex McCarthy, funnily enough.
Is it a coincidence? I've been thinking about this in hindsight, Mark, since Monday night, to be fair. Is it a coincidence that with Fraser in goal, the back four seemed to lift their game and they were on a different level to what they've been recently? Or was it just the fact that they were just up for it? Or do you think it was the fact that Fraser was there and giving that more commanding figure in the box? Do you think that raised the game for the defenders?
There's probably an element of truth to what you say, because, you know, the thing is obviously Fraser coming back. Now, he's training, but, you know, match scenario is completely different, so you're a little bit rusty. And, you know, our back four would have been aware of that. They're experienced enough. I mean, you got Bertram there, you got Bednarek, and you got Stevens, right? Yeah. You know, they're all sort of upper, you know, over 100 appearances, I would have thought by now, right? And then you've got Kyle Walker-Peters. Sorry, you got Kyle Walker-Peters, who has the relevant Premier League experience. But it wasn't just that though, Mark, because like I said, you had the midfielders. You know, our central midfielders were working so deep that they were on top. You know, at times they were on top of the defence because they were having to come, get the ball, and then try and play it out. And the one that was having the most joy in that regard was Ward-Prowse. But the one that was probably the most physical, I suppose, and was my man of the match was Diallo because of the tackles that he was putting in. You know, he was winning balls, he had no right to win.
I'll tell you what, for a 21-year-old, what a little gem we've unearthed there.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is it's only his second game, and you know, let's hope that the form that he showed against Liverpool, you know, you want that to continue for whenever he is playing, you know.
Absolutely. Well, the thing is, as well, I mean, the team was missing a few first team regulars. It actually contained 11 players that originated from the club's academy. And Ralph Hasenhüttl actually reserved praise for the impact of the younger members of the squad on a special night. And he said, I can't say how proud I am of my team. I think the mentality we showed today was the perfect one. The young lads came in, did a great job, defended unbelievably well. Don't know if we had more mentality than the other team, but we wanted it more. This is why we threw everything at it. This, for me, absolutely amazing, yes. We must have the perfect day, and it was the perfect day. Now I can retire, he added while laughing. Yeah, you can ride off into the sunset now, Ralph. Cheers.
Not quite, Ralph. Not quite.
No,
The
no.
season hasn't finished yet, but anyway.
Right.
But no, I mean, look, the bottom line was we knew that it was going to take a performance where we were at least going to have to raise our game, irrespective of how Liverpool's form was going into the game. They drew their last two games and they didn't look convincing in the two draws that they had. Let's be honest. But but beside that aside, we knew that we would still have to raise our game. They've still got quality people going forward.
Absolutely.
They've still got quality midfielders. They've still got quality fullbacks. And a quality goalkeeper. It's just that they're struggling for centre halves at the moment. But that shouldn't detract from the performance on Monday night, Mark. I mean, as I said, we had more than just the goal that was taken, but I mean, the thing is I just felt that everybody knew what they were meant to be doing, and obviously they'd worked on it in training, or at least some sort of clear instruction had been given by Ralph. And I think as well, let's remember also that was his first game back since the COVID thing, because obviously he missed the West Ham game, so it just shows the influence that he does have.
Well, it's also the first time that he's actually beaten Klopp, isn't it? And that meant a lot to him as well, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I don't tend to read too much into that, Mark. I mean, as I've said before, Ralph has stated on several occasions that when we're playing one of the big six sides, right, he tries to treat it as a Champions League game.
But the thing is, as well, I couldn't help thinking, Mark, as well, that maybe what got to Ralph as well was the fact that, we beat the reigning champions at home, and maybe a little part of Ralph was a little bit gutted that the fans weren't there to see it. So maybe that played a little part in his emotions as well. I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, the emotions thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I got it. At the end of the day, it was a trying week. It's probably been a trying time all around for him. And the thing is like when you've sort of, let's say, broken the duck, and I'm talking about specifically in terms of Liverpool and everything like that, why would you not? Why, given that he wasn't on the sidelines for the last game, why wouldn't he be a little bit emotional about everything that's kind of gone before? So it's not a problem. I mean, to be honest with you, Mark, I know you were livid about somebody else, but the one person that's really irritated me this week is Fabian Capello. I mean, the guy doesn't even manage in England. I mean, he's not. Is he the national manager still? And I just sort of sit there and I think to myself, you're not even involved in football in this country anymore. Why is what you've got to say relevant?
I've got two words for Fabio Capello: anger management.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why you wouldn't. At the end of the day, there must be some managers out there that kind of get it and they sort of sit and think to themselves, well, he's had a bit of a trying week or trying, couple of weeks, and that's just a release of all the emotion, all the built-up emotion and everything else, and it is a feather in his cap at the end of the day. Look, we as fans complain when managers don't show emotion. Look at Sven-Göran Eriksson when he was the England manager, right? But what I'm saying is, we as fans complain when managers don't show emotion, and then when they do show emotion, we complain.
Well, what would you rather see? Would you rather see Ralph Hasenhüttl when it's pouring down rain at St Mary's, showing emotion or whatever, or would you rather have some idiot like the Wally with the brolly, Steve McLaren, stood on the sidelines with an umbrella up with no emotion whatsoever? Because I know what I'd rather see. I'd rather see Ralph Hasenhüttl with a bit of emotion, Mark, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, definitely. As long as you're not going to incite a riot, I don't see problem is. You know, I mean, the
Yeah.
thing is I do famously remember when Graham Souness was Galatasaray manager, and he famously got a flag and stuck the Galatasaray flag, you know, on the pitch of their deadliest rivals, which,
Yep.
you know, in hindsight, you don't really want to be doing things like that in Turkey, to be fair.
No.
You know, not at your deadliest rival, even though you've won the title, not at your deadliest rivals, you know, home, like, you know, that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do that, you might as well go and lay a shot in the centre circle at Boca Juniors if you're a River Plate player, aren't you?
Yeah, well, exactly. So you know, there is things where you sort of sit there and go, that goes a little bit too far. But you know, Monday night was none of that. It was none of that. It was just an outpouring of relief, emotion, all those things, you know, and because. We'll tell you, mate, it's not an easy job being Southampton manager because, you know, a bit like Sean Dyche and clubs like that in the Premier League, you know, you're working on next to sort all money. Let's be honest about it, you know.
He also lost his first choice keeper. Obviously, Alex McCarthy's out. Fraser Forster came in. Fraser himself said, "Great result first and foremost. It's tough when you're not playing as you're a bit rusty. I think the lads in front of me were fantastic. Really limited the number of opportunities, which are few and far between. Everyone defended, especially in the second half from front to back. It was a fantastic team performance. Maybe not our best performance on the ball, but out of possession, we were great. It's an unbelievable result in the end. I've not played 90 minutes since football stopped before the first lockdown. So you're looking at the best part of 9-10 months. So I was a bit rusty. Came in and tried to do my best. I'm just thankful to be back playing. It's a long time since I played here. It's fantastic to be in for a club I love. The manager's got the team playing in a fantastic way. Such a good way of playing football. So to be a part of that's fantastic. And I want to do what I can to help the club move forward, however that is. And that kind of epitomises the whole thing, doesn't it? Really?
Yes.
You know, how everyone's attitude is, the impact Ralph's had on everyone, the positivity that's flowing for everyone. And quite clearly, Fraser's not been part of that, but he feels part of that because he's been part of that squad where that camaraderie is there and that emotion is there. So he's obviously benefited from it as well.
The bottom line was, you know, in the summer he made it clear that he wasn't interested in going anywhere. Now, you know, I can sit here with you and be cynical and say, of course he's not going anywhere because no one's going to, you know, bid for him because of the wages that he's on at Southampton, right? But at the same time, Mark, you know, he made it clear in the summer that it was his intention to fight for his place, and he wasn't going anywhere, right? And he's been true to his word. He's had to wait, obviously, you know, to this has happened to Alex, but you know he's come in and he's done his job. You know, he's kept a clean sheet, albeit with the help of, you know, good defend, as Ralph says, good defending front to back. You know.
Absolutely. Yep. It has been good defending front to back, and to be fair, that's been the time of the season, hasn't it? Saints' defensive record's been really good. To be fair to them, just the attacking that's let us down a little bit now.
It has in recent times, yes.
So that brings us to the end of our review of Saints 1, Liverpool 0. So I still can't believe that. 6th in the table, everyone as well. Great stuff. Still in the mix, as they say. Which is great stuff.
Still in the mixer.
Right, so we're going to take a brief break, and when we come back, we'll do Saints FC news for you.
It's the Two Marks, C&H, on the Two Saints Show, Fiesta 95 FM.
Right, welcome back, everybody. So we'll go through the headlines for Saints FC news for you, and then we'll come back to the start. Ralph Hasenhüttl says 2020 has been a big step forward. New deal for Stuart Armstrong. Stuart Armstrong says the last 12 months have been his best. Oriol Romeu could miss up to 2 weeks with a calf problem. The ticket office is closed as of this week, and the Women's League fixtures have been suspended. So starting with Ralph Hasenhüttl, 2020 has been a big step forward, Mark. I have to agree with him, I think, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know,
I think there's a lot to do, but it's
got to look at it in sort of, obviously this is us looking at it in reflection of the 2020 as a year for Saints. And I would say that, you know, because I kind of include the Christmas New Year period in that, because obviously we had a slight resurgence, you know, the December and the in the January.
Yep.
We had wins. We had wins away at Chelsea, Aston Villa, and Crystal Palace, just to mention a few. And obviously, we had the big win against Tottenham at home on New Year's Day. So, there was a platform there, but the strange kind of thing was that from the end of January till basically lockdown, I mean, the last fixture, if people remember, was at home to Newcastle on March the 11th. And
something that's actually interesting, Mark, and I wasn't aware of this before the Liverpool game. Sorry to interrupt that. I'm just bringing this is quite an important thing to bring in at this point. Before the Liverpool game, I wasn't actually aware of this, but Saints' last shutout, secured by virtue of a goalless draw at West Ham, took their 2020 tally to 56 points from 34 matches, which was the fifth highest total in the Premier League. But it was also the first time Ralph Hasenhüttl was denied West Ham victory in 5 attempts. And that basically meant that going into the game against Liverpool on Monday, it actually left Liverpool as the only team, which was Saints' first appearance in 2021, actually left them as the only team that Ralph Hasenhüttl has not taken points against.
Yeah.
Now that in itself, I'd say, is a step forward, definitely.
I actually read that stat, and actually I did mention to you about the West Ham stat as well, because I don't know why he struggles against West Ham, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Get back to the year as a whole. So the thing was like I said, we had that sort of December, January period, early in the year, and we're looking well set. And then obviously we had a slump from sort of end of January till basically football shut down on the 11th of March. And we had a slump in that sort of 6-week period, and we weren't doing anything, Mark. We couldn't win a game of tiddlywinks, basically. And honestly, couldn't win a game of tiddlywinks in that period, right? And then obviously we shut down, and thankfully we're able to press the reset button, because I think a lot of credit's got to go to the nutritionists and the fitness people who were obviously keeping an eye on the shape of the players during the lockdown. I'm told that they were having to weigh in every day and stuff like that. So obviously the thing is quickly a plan obviously was put in place, and everybody had their own individual. I mean, I would have thought during a season you've got your own individual things to work on anyway. But the thing is at least there was some sort of preparedness for this kind of event to happen. And lo and behold, the restart, happened, and Saints basically didn't look back from that period. I mean, it sounds a bit ironic, but even at the start of this season, when we lost to Crystal Palace, I was sat there and I'm thinking, well, that's an inauspicious start. But apart from that, going out to Brentford in the Carabao Cup, which I obviously call the League Cup, apart from those two results, you've got to say that this season, and even the restart part of last season, it's been an unmitigated success.
Oh, absolutely.
From
100%.
top to bottom,
Yeah, I'd agree with that 100%. 100%. Yeah, and part of the reason for that success is actually the gentleman who's the subject of our next article, Mark, which is Stuart Armstrong. And he's been part of that, hasn't he? Part of the unmitigated success, and he's actually made 79 appearances in total for the club now, since being from Celtic in 2018. And in those 79 appearances, has returned 11 goals for Saints.
Yeah.
So how about those? And 7 of those have come during 2020.
I've got to say that's very, very impressive.
And 7 of those, Mark. 7 of those have come in 2020.
Given that basically he plays in that, what I call him between the lines, and he's really good at doing it. you mentioned about the incident that happened during the Liverpool games and the Liverpool game, and I'll just let you remind the listeners of that because he played a significant part in the goal.
Oh, I thought it was excellent. Obviously James Ward-Prowse floats in the free kick for Danny Ings. What Stuart Armstrong's done while the referee's looking the other way, he's actually pushed Jordan Henderson into a position that plays Danny Ings clean onside. Absolutely genius moment. So absolutely brilliant. Great thinking from Armstrong. Got obviously managed to pull it off because the ref wasn't looking. But he actually pushes Jordan Henderson into the penalty area, which plays Danny Ings onside. Absolutely fantastic. It just shows he uses his brain. And I'm not surprised. I mean, obviously back in 2018, he was studying for a degree, which he went in pass mark. So not only is he quite a good footballer, he's also quite clever. And he proved it with that free kick, obviously.
Yeah,
I thought he played that role really well during that game. To be fair, against Liverpool.
I mean, I have to say, Mark, that he has had one or two. Well, one low moment, I suppose, would be this year was when he tested positive for coronavirus, or he tested positive, or he come into contact with somebody that meant he had to go into isolation anyway. Sorry if I've got that wrong. But, I think as a consequence of that, he did struggle a little bit for form. But it's a strange one because when I look at the options that we'll have whenever he doesn't play and, for whatever reason would decide to put him on the bench, I just think he plays every time for me. In terms of even when he's having an off day, I still think to myself, he's the one person that you sort of, because he's on the pitch, you just think to yourself, well, something might happen there with him, and he's not mercurial in that sense, but he does bring something that's very, very different to any other Saints player to the party.
Yeah, right. Well, and what he does bring is enabled him to establish himself as a key player in Ralph Hasenhüttl's squad. And he's been obviously rewarded with a new 3.5-year contract, which is fantastic. And he himself, Ralph Hasenhüttl said he's very happy with the news. Stuart's a very smart player, someone who's important for our team. He's become more comfortable and confident in the number 10 position. It's been pleasing to see the development he's made as a result of the work he's done with us on this, which I totally agree with. Stuart Armstrong himself said it's a great club to be a part of, a club that has a feel of positivity and heading in the right direction. I'm very happy. It's a great club. We're doing well. Very positive. To extend my time and be part of the club going into the future is something I'm very happy about, which is great. And he feels that he's played his best football in the last 12 months.
Yeah,
can't argue that.
I'm sure the club feel that it was a nice, easy contract to be able to do, because I don't think with Stuart Armstrong, the contract thing is ever an issue. Unless he was feeling homesick or anything like that. But given the last 12 months that he has had, Mark, you're not going to be wanting to go home, while the team are playing such good football, and you personally, and this is the thing that gets me about what's going on with some Saints players at the minute, because the thing is Stuart Armstrong recognises that he's in a good place, his football's in a good place, so why wouldn't he sign a new deal? But the other thing I'm going to go back to, Mark, is I think as a Saints fan, for me, I think you can trace back, and I totally agree with Stuart when he says the last 12 months have been the best of his career, because you can trace it back basically to Boxing Day against Chelsea last season, and he was phenomenal in that game for me, and Saints ran out 2-0 winners, and I think basically from there, like he said, the last 12 months has been immense for him, really.
Yeah, absolutely right. So Aurel Romeu could be missing for up to 2 weeks with a calf problem, which probably would have worried me if it wasn't for the form of Ibrahima Diallo, who, as you said, came on against Liverpool, played really well. So I'm a little bit less concerned about Romeu being out now, because we seem to have, for the moment, until it all goes horribly wrong, we seem to have a quite apt and quite able deputy, Mark.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, I mean, look, the thing is you never want to speak too soon.
Exactly.
But the one thing that you can say about Diallo before I go on to Romeu, the one thing that you can say about Diallo is that, you know, his first appearance against Fulham, he looked confident. He did, you know,
Yeah.
the thing is he didn't put a foot wrong, right?
Yeah.
But you weren't necessarily sitting there thinking he's setting the world alight here. Whereas
Well, I
whereas
will say this: there was one tackle during that Liverpool game, Mark, when he did.
yeah, no,
When he
no, no,
recovered, I
no,
can't remember how
no,
far he ran.
Mark, you misunderstand me. I'm talking about the Fulham game.
Oh
When
yeah,
we
yeah,
played
sorry,
at
yeah, the
Fulham,
Fulham
he
game, yeah,
was tidy, but he didn't
yep,
set the world alight,
yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely,
But the thing is roll that on the Monday night,
yeah, yeah,
and it was, you know, he was the standout performer.
yeah,
And
yeah,
the thing is while I turned around and I say, you know, you probably won't be expecting that every week.
yeah.
You'd like to think that he can bring that level of performance to the
Right,
party as often as he can, and
well, to me,
if he can,
one,
then we've got a diamond player.
oh yeah. Well, one thing it epitomised his performance against Liverpool was at one point during, I think it might have been the second half, he made a huge recovering run. He came from sort of central midfield right into the Saints penalty area and put a tackle in the penalty area, which stopped a certain goal for Liverpool. And I thought, do you know what? That was a challenge of the game. Absolutely superb. I think he'd run 60, 70 yards to get there.
Yeah,
Absolutely brilliant recovering tackle. Nobody else obviously caught the runner, but he did. And I thought that just epitomised his performance.
I
I thought it
mean,
was outstanding.
the hope for me would be that, you know, you worry, of course, because it's the stepping stone scenario, right? But I mean, the thing is I don't see any reason why he would. I don't know the mentality of the lad, so I'm hoping that, you know, he just, you know, he hasn't come here and, you know, as soon as he's turned a few heads, you know, he's looking to move. But you'd like to think that, you know, he's going to be here for some considerable time, and the good thing really is that, you know, when Romeu gets back fit, he's got a fight on his hands to get the starting berth back again. And ultimately, that's what you want at your football club, where everybody's you know, the thing is I know that we don't have the numbers, right? And I know we're not, you know, we don't have the fan base of, you know, a big six or whatever. But the point is that, you know, the thing is that it's good to have healthy competition, and ultimately Saints would still be looking for to make sure that they've got cover and competition
Absolutely.
in every position on the park,
The thing is, Mark,
whether that's through squad players that aren't playing or academy players that are coming through the under 23s B system.
yeah, but the thing is, be it the academy or players we're recruiting, it's been a while since we've had any young players we could get sort of really excited about or get quite excited about. And I think Diallo is one of those. And if he's the kind of future of the club, and if those are the sorts of players they're looking at, then the future could be a bright one. It could be a fairly good one if those are the sorts of potential players they're looking at. Because players with that sort of potential that he's got, not a dime a dozen. They are a rare find. And I think if you manage to unearth these gems that he appears to be, then it's reason to get excited a little bit. And we don't always get excited as Saints fans, and we haven't had a lot of excitement for a while, have we? So it's nice to finally have another youngster in the team that we're getting quite excited about.
No, definitely, mate. And the other thing that I just want to say, I just want to add this as a footnote. You know, please, people, trust me when I say, when Salisu is eventually fit, he will be a good player for Saints. You know, I've seen some of the footage of him, right? All right, there's obviously injury worries, concerns, you know, breaking down, whatever it is. But, you know, when Saints get it right with him, and they will get it right with him fitness-wise and, you know, maintaining his fitness. But when they do it, you know, I reckon we'll have another player. You know, and the thing is like, you know, please, people, don't be having a meltdown about Salisu, because trust me, you know, the club will. I know I'm probably putting all my eggs in one basket, and I'm probably going to end up my egg on my face, Mark, right? but I genuinely don't think this is a Diego, Foran, Mr. Foran. I don't think it's one of those.
No, I agree with that. And the thing is, for anybody who's not sure, look at the quality of opposition that Salisu's played against, Kay. Look at some of the players he's played against. You don't become a bad player overnight. And remember one thing, everybody. This is Southampton Football Club, the same Southampton Football Club whose medical team got Danny Ings back to full fitness, despite his previous injury worries. They will get Djenepo fit. They will get Salisu fit because they did it with Danny Ings. And remember, these guys are younger than Danny Ings. Diallo's 21. He's obviously not injured. Salisu, 21 years old, a lot younger than Danny Ings. He will heal a lot quicker. So remember that. It's the same medical team that got Danny Ings back and fully firing and fully fit. So they can do it, and they probably will. And I agree with you, Mark. And he is the future of the club, as they said.
And the thing is it doesn't. It's not that relevant at the minute, Mark, because the thing is they have centre halves. I mean, Vestergaard isn't going to be out for that long, and obviously you've got Stevens there, so it's not like he's a must-have at the moment.
No, the thing is, Stevens is in great form.
I'll be way more frustrated if it was a case of he was playing for the first team and he got injured,
absolutely.
And he was having the problems that he's having, but it's not that.
Actually, right. So as I say, really, really pleased we've got Diallo, and he looks a prospect, and I can't wait to see Salisu fit as well, which will be good.
But anyway, I just want to touch on Romeu. Getting back to Romeu, mate. The thing about Oriel is that in the last few, basically I'd say the last, since lockdown, more or less, right? Or during lockdown. I mean, I think he looks a lot fitter than what he was. Yeah. It seems that he is a little bit quicker than what he was. Not significantly, deceptively slightly a bit quicker. And hopefully that'll mean that because his fitness levels are so good, the injury won't be impacted on him too much. I mean, I know they said, what would they say, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
The chances are he's probably going to be back in contention for the game against Leicester, next Saturday. So, I think it's a case of watch this space. But I'll be interested to see if Diallo retains the shirt, Mark.
Yeah, I agree with you. Definitely. Yeah, and we'll watch this space and monitor that situation and see what happens. But all good at the moment. So, moving on. The tickets office is closed this week. Now, this was announced on Tuesday. Due to the ongoing Tier 4 restrictions in Southampton, the club confirmed that the ticket office will not open this week. Fans can contact the ticket office at ticketoffices@saintsfc.co.uk if they've got any queries, but the ticketing phone lines and windows at St Mary's will be unavailable. The club will provide regular updates on the ticket office's opening hours. So stay posted on those, keep an eye on the website, etc. And any changes will be announced to everybody. So moving on from there to the news of the Southampton's FC Women's League fixtures have been suspended until further notice. This follows the latest restrictions announced by the government in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The FA confirmed the halt of all training and fixtures across non-elite football in England following Monday night's news, meaning the FA Women's National League has been put on hold. Saints, who are currently top of the Division 1 South West standings, have been next scheduled to host Brislington on Sunday. That game will no longer go ahead as planned. Any further updates on the team's league fixtures will be communicated once known. And with the Vitality Women's FA Cup also suspended for now, Saints' second round fixture at home to Plymouth also remains on hold, which is very bad news for them, Mark, and I do feel for them because they're absolutely flying, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, it is so frustrating that this is, effectively it's going to be the second time where the league basically gets abandoned, right? Saints have been leading it for the second time, and it just looks like they're not going to get their just desserts, and all it stems from is basically, to use a better metaphor, Saints women are playing kind of non-league football. If they were playing league football, it would be looked at as elite. So they'd be playing if they were in the championship, because there's only 2 levels for the women, right? The championship and the Premier League. And if they were playing in either of those leagues, they'd be playing week in, week out. But because they're not, they kind of I don't want to use the word get penalised because it's the same for everybody, but
Yeah.
it's a choker. It's a choker, Mark, especially
It
given
is.
last season, they were in the same position, they were cruising the league, and to mentally come back and attune yourself to do that again, and they were on course for doing it again. In fact, the points tally probably would have been more this time round. Yeah, it's just I'm devastated for them, to be honest, mate.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing is, I can reveal to you as well that there's talk about in the Women's FA Cup. They're now talking because of the fixtures and stuff like that. They're now talking about deciding FA Cup fixtures by the toss of a coin. Have you ever heard anything so ridiculous in all your life?
No, Mark, it is, as you say, absolutely ridiculous. It really is staggering. Yeah, we do feel for them. Let's just hope there's light at the end of the tunnel, and at some point they manage to get back on track, and let's hope they go on from where they are and they actually win the league, Mark.
Yes, no, definitely, mate.
That brings us to the end of that section and the first part of the podcast today. So coming up in the next part of the podcast, we have a few other football news and Saints in the press. So we'll be back very shortly and we'll crack on with that for you.
It's Mark C and Mark H. Mark my word, they're here with everything in the Two Saints Show.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So, other football news. Tommy Docherty, the former Man United and Scotland boss, has passed away at the age of 92 following a long illness. As a player, he made more than 300 appearances for Preston and won 25 caps for Scotland. He went on to manage 12 clubs, leading Chelsea to League Cup success in 1965 and Man United to a 2-1 win over Liverpool in the 1977 FA Cup final. Tommy passed away peacefully, surrounded by his family at home, his family said in a statement. He was a much-loved husband, father and papa and will be terribly missed. We ask that our privacy be respected at this time. Docherty, affectionately known by his nickname The Doc, passed away at his home in the northwest of England on the 31st of December. After spells managing Chelsea, Rotherham, QPR, Aston Villa and Porto, he took over as Scotland boss in September 1971 on a temporary basis before getting the job full-time 2 months later. But, however, he would probably be best known for his 5-year spell at Man United, who approached him to succeed Frank O'Farrell in December 1972, while Scotland were on course to qualify for the 1974 World Cup finals. They were actually relegated under Tommy Docherty, weren't they, Mark? But very, very sad news there that former Man United and Scotland boss Tommy Docherty has passed away. Great friend of Laurie McMenemy's, I understand, as well.
Definitely, mate. I mean, the thing is like, I lost count the amount of times that I turned up at anniversary events in the city. And Tommy was always there. He was always invited along. And I think, the friendship basically blossomed from the FA Cup win because the thing is Tommy Docherty, I've never heard a manager so gracious in defeat. And I think during the times...
and a Man United manager gracious in defeat at that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is it was, to me it's telling that, I think he actually got what winning a major trophy meant to the city. Because obviously through coming down for the different events and stuff like that as well. But like I said, you wouldn't get anybody being that gracious in this day and age. And, more party his elbow, but Man United actually came back the following season, as you pointed out. And, and I remember him saying after the loss to Southampton, he said, he looked into the TV, like the camera, in the TV screen, and basically turned around and, said to the Man United fans, we'll be back next year and we'll win the cup. And lo and behold, they did. I think the thing to point out about him going down with United, you've got to remember that he went into United at the time and he had an aging team, right? You still had Best, you still had, Bobby Charlton, you still had Dennis Law, people like that. I mean, and it was difficult, but he got rid of them, and that was probably what was needed. Okay, Bobby Charlton retired, but the other two, Dennis Law went and played for Man City and actually condemned United to relegation that season, which was the ironic thing because Dennis Law, when he backheeled the ball into the back of the net for Manchester City, looked as white as a ghost when he did it, and there was no celebration at all from him. And it was his last, I think I'm right in saying it was his last kick in league football. But having said that, Mark, what he did was he turned round the fortunes, and, they came up the following season. He had young talents like Gordon Hill, Jerry Daly, I'm trying to think, Lou Macari, and he had a host of players from my homeland, young David McCreary, young Sammy McElroy, young Jimmy Nicholl, and they all came into the team, and their brand of football, to be fair to him, like the brand of football was exciting, but the thing that interested me about Tommy Docherty is like, if you listen to any of the interviews that he ever gave, he'll always say that his biggest achievement was the team that he built at Chelsea. So as I say, there was that, and then obviously his biggest regret was leaving the Scotland job because they were well on course to basically qualify for the 74 World Cup with him. And the guy who took over, a guy called Wally Ormond, I mean, he struggled to get them over the line, even though, they were coasting the qualification under Tommy Docherty. But the thing is it's very difficult when you're sat, he relayed the story, he'd gone down to watch United play, and he'd been asked if he was prepared, to go and sit in the director's box. Yeah. And that was when, Matt Busby actually approached him. But, I always have a degree of sympathy for Tommy Docherty because the thing is, he wasn't fired because of footballing reasons. He was basically got rid of by the Manchester United hierarchy because he had an affair with Laurie Brown, who was the physio at Manchester United. And, the thing is, Matt Busby wouldn't back him about it, right? And the thing about it is, Mark, is he married Mary Brown. He married the woman concerned, right? And they've lived together happily for the rest of their lives. And it was poor play because, the quote that was attributed to Matt Busby at the time was, "We can't have this at Manchester United Football Club," and like I say, I just thought the United team was going to take off, under him because he was, he's a charismatic manager. And if you think about it, the replacement for him was Dave Saxton. Now, there's nothing wrong with Dave Saxton. He's a great coach, but he doesn't have the charisma. I really felt sorry for Tommy Docherty because I did think at the time, as a young man, well, as a young person, he was going places with the United team, but it's just very, very, very sad to lose somebody like that, a good manager, and it's another character gone from the game. And like you said, although it probably wasn't unexpected because he'd been ill for a while, I'm sure the McMenemy household was quite upset, at hearing of his death.
I would imagine so. Yeah, I would imagine so. He was irrepressible, outspoken, and often controversial. But rest in peace. Rest in peace, Tommy Docherty, a manager of many clubs, quips, anecdotes, and one-liners. And big condolences to your family. And rest in peace, Tommy Docherty. Right, moving on to the next story in the section today, which is the news of another footballing great, the sad loss of Colin Bell, aged 74, after a short illness the Premier League club have announced that Man City legend Colin Bell has died. The former England midfielder made 501 appearances for City between 1966 and 79, scoring 153 goals and won 48 caps for his country. Few players have left such an indelible mark on City, said a club statement on Tuesday. He was known affectionately as Nijinsky, which is an absolutely fantastic name to be called, obviously after the racehorse, but not because he's a racehorse, Mark, but because of his style of play and how good a player he was.
Yeah, it was definitely the style of play, mate. Tremendous footballer, really. The thing as well to say is he was known as the king of Main Road. He'll remain the king of Main Road. I mean, I don't personally think there was anybody to touch him as a City player, really. I'd said on our radio show that basically, United had, Law, Best and Charlton. Well, City at the time had Francis Lee, Mike Summerby and Colin Bell, and Colin Bell was the linchpin. I mean, the thing that I want to point out about him was there wasn't a domestic honour that Colin Bell didn't win. League Cup, FA Cup, First Division.
Yeah. It's interesting. You're absolutely right about the honours. It's interesting as well because for anybody who obviously in the modern day people wouldn't know an awful lot about Colin Bell. He's actually been likened to, if you want a sort of rough idea of how good a player he was, Kevin De Bruyne has been likened to the way Colin Bell was as a player, and there's a lot of similarities apparently. So you're talking a very good player there. If you're comparing Kevin De Bruyne to Colin Bell, then it shows you how good a footballer Colin Bell was.
Yeah. No, and that's not a bad comparison, to be fair. But Colin Bell was a standout player in his own right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And all I would say as well, Mark, is he won European Cup Winners' Cups, I think, as well, or he won a few European titles. So, as I say, he was an artist as a footballer. Like you said, I mean, he was named after. His nickname was Nijinsky after the racehorse, and he was a maestro. Pulling strings, and just he looked fabulous on the ball. He just looked fabulous on the ball. One of those players that catches your eye.
Yeah, former England striker Gary Lineker actually said that Bell was one of his favourite players when he was growing up. He said terrific box-to-box midfielder, a real gem for Man City in England. The Times chief football writer Henry Winter said he oozed class, skill and glamour as he was flowing across rutted pitches, taking people on, creating and scoring. And floating across rutted pitches is probably where the likeness to Nijinsky came in, obviously.
Yes, no, definitely, very much so, mate, very much so.
Yet another legend for England and another legend of the game that we've lost very sadly this year. It's been a year for that, unfortunately. So, huge condolences to Colin Bell's family and rest in peace, Colin Bell, Man City great.
Very, very much so, mate. Very much so.
Enjoy your retirement in the sky, Nijinsky. And Colin Bell will always be the king of Man City, says Michael Richards, which I think is a really good tribute from the club themselves. Right, moving on with some slightly more upbeat news, and news of the Burnley takeover. ALK Capital completed the deal by buying an 84% controlling stake in Burnley, and also very promptly the chairman came out immediately and had a little bit of a dig at Saints and the fact they've ruined their academy in the last 5 years. But that's a slightly different side note. But good news for Burnley, who've been waiting for this to go through forever, Mark, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, look, the bottom line is it's good news for the supporters. It's good news for Sean Dyche. Hopefully the fact that takeovers happen that will give them a little bit of money, in the transfer market. I do worry slightly that they are an equity firm, but I feel I would be reassured as a Burnley fan in the sense that the new owner has said that he's going to actually live in the community, which that's a big statement of intent, and I hope that that's the case, because obviously in modern football, especially if you're one of the smaller clubs in the Premier League, it's really, really important that you have that link between whether it be owners, players, managers,
Yep.
and the supporters themselves, So if
Well,
he's going to
before
go and live, if he's going to go and live in the town, fair play to him. But I would also say that will be a bit of a culture shock for him if he's not already there.
Well, in fairness, he also needs to definitely spend a bit of time in the community before he ends up living in the community. Because at the moment, all he knows is where Turf Moor is in the local supermarket. So certainly needs to invest a bit of time in learning a bit more about the community at the moment. I would say.
Hang on. I mean, Mark. At the end of the day, he's coming in a situation that he doesn't know a lot about. So fair enough. He knows. Where the club is that he's bought, and he knows where the local supermarket is. I mean, what else does he need to know at the moment?
Well, he's promised that it will be a unique way of running a football club, and that nobody's seen anything like him before. So that'd be interesting to see him put his money where his mouth is, as the saying goes.
I was slightly worried by that statement. I thought to myself, I wonder what he's planning to implement that's going to set him apart from everybody else.
You've got to ask the question.
It
does make you wonder.
It's a bit of a strange statement to be coming out with. I mean, the thing is as well, you mentioned about having a slight dig at the the Saints Academy, and there is probably a little bit of validity there as well. But at the same time, this is a guy coming from the States in the Premier League football, and he's passing, comment or, judgment call, whatever you want to call it, on Southampton Football Club. I mean, does he know the mileage between the two places, Burnley and Southampton?
The thing is, it makes you wonder if he actually made an offer for Southampton Football Club and they told him where to stick it. Because I mean? It's like, well, it was a bit of a strange remark to make because that's got no connection to Burnley whatsoever. So I was a little bit surprised by that. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
something that wasn't surprising.
All I would say is I am worried for Burnley slightly. Just a little bit, not overly concerned in the sense that it does sound like it's a bit of a hedge fund sort of thing as well, in the sense of like where's the actual investment coming from? And I did notice that obviously they've just took a controlling stake. They haven't actually bought the club outright. Maybe there was people that didn't want to sell their stake though. So, I'm just taking as read. But
170 million for an 84% stake. And don't forget, obviously Southampton was sold for, I think it was, 210 million to Mr. Gow, who's invested absolutely zero. So, not a lot of difference between 170 and 200 odd. So, be very wary, Burnley fans, is all I would say.
But it'll be. I think it's a case of Mark. I wouldn't be wary about it because at the end of the day, like the thing is Burnley were probably the last side in the Premier League where you had a board that were local businessmen, right?
Yeah.
An absolute throwback. Okay.
Yeah.
So you would say that obviously the new ownership is it's a better place for the club to be. But obviously, you're slightly reticent because it is you're sort of thinking to yourself, well, where's all the money going to be coming from? But, he says he's going to do things slightly different and people have never seen, anything like him before. So, let's see what he's going to bring to the Burnley party.
Absolutely right. So we'll move on from there. And seems this has reared its head again, Mark. You can't criticise referees. Wolves boss Nuno Espirito Santo has been charged by the FA over his comments regards to Lee Mason. He basically said after their 2-1 defeat at Burnley on 21st December, that Mason is not good enough to apologise for his comments. The FA alleged his comments constitute improper conduct and they were personally offensive to Mason. Lee Mason himself hasn't said anything as far as I'm aware. So, yes, naughty boy Nuno, how dare you criticise the referee? Quite clearly, the referees are above the law. This winds me up because why should they be above the law, Mark? And if players are going to be accountable for their actions, then the officials should be as well. It really winds me up.
I mean,
they're absolutely beyond reproach, aren't they?
All I would say is that just a quick update on that one. So he got charged and he was actually fined £25,000 for the comments. So, but all I would say, Mark, is like I'm in agreement with him about Lee Mason. I actually think he's one of the poor Premier League officials. But anyway, the thing is I agree that you have situations now where managers give pre-press conferences, they give post-press conferences. You've got players giving post-match interviews and everything else. So given that referees now have everything available to them, on the pitch in terms of VAR, goal line technology, you name it, they've got it. I do think that when there is more controversial decisions, then yes, I do think that referees should be allowed by the FA, because I'm assuming it's an FA thing, and it's not that the referees probably wouldn't want to. Well, some may not want to tell you what's going on, but I'm sure there's ones that would. And the thing is I do believe, I said this to you, I do believe that in a few years' time this will be the norm. Referees will be in front of cameras and they will be explaining their decisions. See,
and so they should be. What annoys me is, like, Dermot Gallagher on the Saints game, they were talking to him about the Saints game decisions made in there. He was reviewing the VAR situations that occurred in that game. It took him 10 to 15 seconds to study the video and come to a conclusion. Why on earth does it take a referee 3.5 minutes to decide on the pitch without even bothering to look at a monitor half the time?
I mean, it makes a mockery to me that they don't go to, that decisions that do go to the monitor, in the same games, decisions that do go to the monitor, and then other decisions that won't go to the monitor, and you're sat there going, I thought the aides were all there to help you to come to the right decision at the end of the day.
The thing is, if I'm not mistaken, part of the reason they brought it in was the inconsistency in decisions previous to that. Now you've got even more inconsistency. So it's made the whole situation 10 times worse. Modern technology is brilliant when it works and you use it properly. It's rubbish when you don't.
Well, no, it's not rubbish when you don't. It's just not being used.
Well, let's be honest, it's rubbish full stop, isn't it? Do away with it. Get rid of it. We don't like VAR. It's horrible.
I'm a VAR fan. It goes more for saints than it goes against.
Yeah, that's true. No, I can't argue that. Well, you and I have both been at games where we've had the crowd going, VAR. No, it's not the new hero. Actually, Junior Stanislas has been the victim of racist abuse, Mark. Oh, it's just rears its ugly head again.
The thing is, mate, I will not stop raising this on our show until it's stamped out, until the people who spout that sort of vile hatred, really, for people.
I despair. I despair at the fact it still goes on.
Until they're sort of eradicated from the sport, whether it's a supporter or whatever, because obviously we're noticing that, it does seem to be supporters of other clubs and stuff like that. But why, I can't get my head around the fact that, there's been black footballers playing in this country now, right, in significant numbers since the 80s, okay? Yeah. And, the thing is like, they're part of their team, and you want to see the best players. I mean, and a lot of the best players are black. Let's be brutally honest about it. A lot of the best players are black, and I want to see the best. I don't know about you, but I want to see the best players.
I do, and I want to see these people in this band. And my take on it is very simple: if you're going to go along to a game and do that, do us all a favour, go elsewhere and give your head a damn good wobble. You grow up a bit and stop doing it.
But like I said, I won't stop. If these articles keep appearing, I won't stop bringing it up on this podcast. until it's stamped out
Understand.
completely. You know,
Out,
people say
no room for it.
people say education's the key, and that's true. But the thing is it's about re-education and respect for one another. You know, and showing a bit of love, and humanity.
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of that. Not enough of that goes on. Unfortunately. Anyway, moving on to Fleetwood Town.
Well, there is in this household.
Joey Barton. Yeah. Joey Barton, Fleetwood Town boss, leaves the League One club with immediate effect. He's left them 10th in the table, 3 points off the playoff places.
See,
Joey Barton parted Fleetwood, Mark.
The thing is what I'm trying to work out here is that Joey Barton's gone, okay? And I can't work out whether it's because the owner has invested significant money, right? And he feels that the current position that they're in, isn't a great return for the money that he's invested, okay? Or is it the antics off the field of Joey Barton? He's caused a few flashpoints before now in the tunnel, at Fleetwood.
Yeah, I would say it's probably that.
And the thing is
his career, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, interestingly, I've got to tell you, one of the people being linked to the job at Fleetwood Town is none other than James Beattie.
I wish him all the best if he gets it.
Personally,
I wish he'd come back to St Mary's as a striking coach, but there you go.
Well, you and I both. Yeah. But I'll be interested to see where if he turns up somewhere else, Joey Barton. I'd be interested to see if he turns up somewhere else. But you wonder whether it was just the owner basically turning around and saying, we haven't achieved as much as I thought we would with the money invested, and because he has said that there will be a slight change in direction from what they were doing before. So it'd be interesting to see what happens at Fleetwood, certainly.
Right, we'll move on now to Wigan Athletic. The takeover of the administration club has broken down. The prospective takeover of Wigan Athletic by Legan's owner Philip Moreno has fallen through. The club's administrators announced they'd ended negotiations with him on Tuesday morning. They said in a statement the bid had been reduced by almost 50% over the weekend, and proceeding with it would have resulted in a 15-point deduction for the League One club. Moreno had initially been part of a Spanish consortium looking to buy the club before the English Football League rejected their application at the start of December because one of the group was subject to a disqualifying condition. He subsequently became the sole bidder. It had been hoped the deal would be completed at some point between Christmas and the 1st of January. Manager Paul Cook left over the summer and his replacement John Sheridan also quit to take over at Swindon Town. The administrators, who understood to still be looking for about $3 million for the club, added they were now starting to talk to other bidders who've expressed interest and will provide an update when there is any definite news. And anybody who doesn't know, Legans is the club that Guido Carrillo went to loan on from Southampton.
Yeah, I mean, look, the bottom line here, Mark, is that he's basically gone on a loan to try and buy the football club. Obviously, he had a consortium with him. People have dropped by the wayside for whatever reason. Hence the fact that the amount of money that was involved and the percentage involved dropped drastically. And then obviously the administrators just basically thought to themselves, well, it's the last man standing and he's only offering 50%, buying 50% of the club. I mean, it's not an ideal deal for any of the people of Wigan that are supporters of the football club, that's for sure.
Let's hope they manage to find a buyer and they wrap it up very quickly so that the club can hopefully rediscover some of their former glory. That's all we can hope for them, don't we?
Move the club forward, but it doesn't help that the administrators keep appointing people and they keep walking away for supposed better jobs. I just think that the supporters deserve better than that. The supporters of Wigan, because when you think about it, they've kept the club afloat for the last 8 months, 7 months, 6 months, whatever it is.
Right, moving on to the last story in this section. Motherwell's Stephen Robinson resigns as manager, saying, "I've taken it as far as I can."
Yeah, I mean, I was really shocked by this, Mark. I've got to say, I'd be interested to see if Stephen Robson's going to cut his teeth south of the border, or whether he might go for another job if one becomes available in Scotland.
Yeah.
Certainly, I'd say that he done a brilliant job for Motherwell, and I dare say there's a few maybe lower league clubs in this country that would be quite happy to have him as a manager.
Yeah.
I've noticed today that just a quick update on it. Graham Alexander has actually gone to Motherwell, and he was previously manager at Salford City.
Wow.
So, but I'm not sure he's going to have the same impact as Stephen Robson, because, as I say, at Fir Park they're on a fairly tight budget at Motherwell.
Yep. Well, they've had a degree of success in the time he's been there, so let's hope the next person brings as much success as he has.
No, definitely.
Right, that brings us to the end of that section. So we're going to take the last break of today's show, and when we come back, we'll be doing Saints transfer news.
Fiesta 95 FM, the Two Saints Show.
Right, welcome back, everybody. So, Saints in the press, Saints transfer news. Possible ins. Southampton have been linked with Leicester City's Hamza Chowdhury. Southampton could hand Birmingham City an unexpected cash windfall as the race for Demarai Gray holds up. Southampton want Man United's Brandon Williams on loan. Man United, following on from that, refused Southampton's loan offer for Brandon Williams. And should Southampton bring Callum Chambers back to St Mary's? Those are the possible ins, Mark.
Right. So basically, let's go back to the top story. So the top story, I believe, is Mr. Chowdhury to start off with. Now, I have to say, I'm slightly keen to have him on board, mate. The thing is I worry in terms of cover. In the central midfield berths, obviously, Will Smallbone was looking like he was going to be the person. But unfortunately, because things have gone a little bit pear-shaped for him on the injury front since the start of the season, we haven't seen him. And I do feel that maybe, because Leicester obviously want to try and give him a bit of game time because he's not getting any game time at Leicester. And maybe, the thing is I do think that it would be a good option for Saints just to bring him in for the 6 months.
Get him in. Definitely get him in for me. It's for me. It's just it's one of those signings you look at it and think it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's all I'm going to say about it. I mean, I would. Yeah. It's for 6 months. It's a little bit of extra cover. The thing is if the club have pretensions of, maybe trying to get them secure themselves a European berth, the thing is we'll learn that from 5 and even 4 years ago when we were in good positions in the Premier League, we didn't actually look to enhance the side, or the squad in either of those transfer markets, and I think I'm right in saying that 5 years ago we were in the top 4. I don't remember exactly where we were 4 years ago, but we finished 6th that season, and we didn't really row the boat out. I mean, we're not talking about any significant money here. We're just talking about a loan agreement till the end of the season. Yep,
absolutely right. Yeah, and I think obviously the race is heating up for Demarai Gray. I'd like to see him in, Mark. I think we should get him in as well. Although I was reading something yesterday where they were saying that they felt that Saints were going to try and hold out and get him for a free in the summer. But I'd rather see them bring him in now, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think I would actually, Mark, because I just think that if they agree some sort of loan fee to take over his contract till the end of the season, it might actually prove to cost less money. I just think if he joins us on a free, he might be looking for bumper incentives. That's the only thing. And I worry that we might price ourselves out of a move from. The guy. I mean, he was on our radar. I mean, I say about 5 years ago, but he was on our radar 5 years ago as a 19-year-old. And we didn't move from them, sadly. And I mean, he's only 24 now. He's got the relevant sort of Premier League experience, and the thing is it's basically giving you options in the wide berth as well. Plus some, Leicester a lot of the time too, deployed him as a striker. So, I still think he's got a lot to offer. And if we could do a deal for him in the summer, I'd be very happy. I don't. And I, like you, I read the same article, and I am now convinced that we won't actually make a move for him into January, which is disappointing because he could have helped us with our push.
Yeah, and I could see somebody else snapping him up, to be fair, and that'd be yet another target we missed out on, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
That'd be a real shame. And talking to targets we missed out on, obviously we've been interested in bringing Brandon Williams in, but lo and behold, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has decided to help out his old mate, bit the old boys club going on there, I can't help but think. Decided to help out his old mate, Steve Bruce, and agreed to let Brandon Williams go to Newcastle.
Well, it would certainly appear that way, or he may be staying at Manchester United. But either way, Mark, I'm fairly confident that he won't be coming to Southampton now.
Me too, and it's disappointing.
Yeah.
Another disappointment.
Yeah.
So, we'll move on to the last one. Callum Chambers, should he be brought back to St Mary's? For me, I don't think it would be a massive gamble because it would be cover at centre off because he can play there. So for me, I don't think it's a massive issue. Although part of me does also think, should we really bring back former players? Because I'm not always convinced that's the way you should be going. But that's just a personal thing.
Well, all I'll say is I've never been a supporter of bring him home.
Yep.
Never a supporter of it, and I actually think there is enough adequate cover at centre half. Yep. So what would be the point in bringing him in on loan? I mean, obviously this stems from, basically Arteta, basically releasing a statement where he basically said that he would be looking to trim the squad, and obviously, Callum Chambers has more or less appeared on that list. But in terms of Southampton being interested in signing him, I don't think so. I mean, I genuinely don't think we're even interested in him.
That's fair enough. And that covers all the possible ins. So we'll move on now to the possible outs. Stoke City, Swansea City target Michael Obafemi is to stay put at Southampton after a recent injury blow. So we're led to believe that the advanced talks were going on about him possibly moving to Swansea on loan. Lo and behold, he's picked up a muscle injury and won't be going anywhere.
I mean, fair enough. He's picked up a muscle injury. He's not going anywhere. But the thing is he isn't. I don't think this is the environment for him to learn. And I think when he is fit again, and maybe it might be before the close of the window, who knows? But when he is fit again, Saints should definitely look at loaning him out. I mean, the thing is it's ironic that obviously people are showing an interest in Dan Lindelöf and wanting to take him on loan this month, Mark, right? And yet Dan Lindelöf has gone well ahead in the pecking order, of Michael Obafemi, before Michael Obafemi. So, it's interesting times, but again, disappointing that he's. I mean, the thing is. I haven't made a decision on Michael Obafemi, but I do believe that he needs to go out on loan and be in a different environment and learn his trade.
Yeah, and another player who's been looking at possibly exiting the club in January, Jan Valery. It seems that he's become somewhat of an outcast under Saints boss Ralph Hasenhüttl. Obviously featured against Liverpool, did quite well when he came on. As such, the Frenchman is believed to be considering his future at the club and is prepared to move on from the South Coast to secure more playing time. I don't think a loan move would do him any harm, Mike. Like Obafemi, I think he probably does need to move somewhere else to get a bit of playing time. Who knows? Maybe he can go back to France. Maybe he can get close to his family and play there for a while. Maybe that will help him out. But he certainly needs to sort himself out a little bit, doesn't he? But there's also talk that he's been offered to Schalke as well. Which is
I mean, for me, it would definitely be a case of loan him back to a club in France. But going to Schalke would be complete madness, because that's an absolute basket case of a club at the moment. So
I think probably
sending
at that point.
Sending him there would be detrimental to his career. But the thing I'm going to say to you, Mark, is there is an update there, because apparently so far, Ralph Hasenhüttl's now saying that because we can't get the Brandon Williams deal doesn't look like it's going to be happening. Okay, so apparently that's offset by Ralph basically turning around and saying that he is now not intending to basically loan or even sell Jan Valery in this window.
Yeah,
so there may be a lot of bridge building going on, and you never know. He might be part of the furniture come the end of the season.
Okay, he's not made any appearances as such, but he came on against Liverpool, and to be fair, he performed quite well, didn't he? So take nothing.
He was excellent, mate. He did his job to a T,
So moving on to the last story about possible outs, and this is Josh Sims has been linked with QPR. Probably not a bad move for him, Mark. He's not getting any playing time at Saints, is he? It looks as though Saints' career's come to an end, unfortunately. He's given us that great memory from the semi-final where he laid that chance on Shane Long to put us to Wembley, as Dave Merrington and Adam Blackmore famously said. Shane Long put us to Wembley. It looks as though his time at Saints is over, Mark, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, being a dedicated away fan as well, or supporter as well, he provided me with my best ever sort of Saints away game, which was obviously that win over Liverpool in the League Cup. But at Anfield, obviously we won the home leg as well. But right. just on Josh Sims, I mean, I just think it's a sad state of affairs. I genuinely think, given what's going on at the club at the minute, he is one of the people that genuinely still, in my opinion, has a lot to offer our football club. But I will say this, Mark, in Ralph I trust, and if Ralph feels that he's not good enough for whatever reason, or he feels that he wants to cash in on him, so be it. Because the thing is we will need the money at some point to invest in other players, whether that's loans or transfer fees for or signing on fees for Demarai Gray during the summer. It's regrettable because I'm a Josh Sims fan, but as I said to you, for whatever reason, Ralph doesn't fancy him, and if Ralph decides to sell him, then so be it. Because, as I say, our motto as supporters, is in Ralph we trust, and I can't stress that enough.
No, I agree with you 100%. It's exactly that. In Ralph we do trust. We trusted him before, and he hasn't let us down yet, has he?
No.
So, anyway, that brings us very nicely to the end of today's Two Saints podcast show with myself, Mark C, and my co-host, Mark H. So all that's left to say is goodbye from myself.
Yep, goodbye, everybody. Take care of one another. Keep well and stay safe.
Just to remind you all, you can contact us via our email address, the Two Saints Podcast Show at outlook.com, for questions or items you'd like to hear in future shows. You can listen to the radio show on Fiesta 95 FM in Southampton and via onlineradiobox.com. Also, the Two Saints Podcast Show is now available via Spotify, Overcast, Acast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Deezer, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or via our Facebook page, The Two Saints Show, and our YouTube channel, The Two Saints Podcast Show. So all that's left for me to say is please join us again next week when the Two Saints go marching in again.